All right, this is part 3 of our subject-verb agreement unit, and I'm not going to lie, there's kind of a lot of rules to cover here today, so try and follow along as I take you through these things that will prepare you for the 2 exercises you're going to do. So we're going to start with some special subjects. Special just means that they're not the same as everything else. They're a little bit abnormal, and that begins with collective nouns. Now, if you don't remember what a collective noun is, it's basically any noun that refers to a group of people. So in the example sentences here, I have audience, but you could say jury, team, squadron. You get the idea. So with collective nouns, the verb is going to depend on whether the noun is doing it all together or if they're doing it individually. If they're doing it all together, we will treat it as one singular entity. So the audience applaud or applauds. Well, here they're all doing it together, so you're going to select applauds. The audience is going to clap together. They're going to cheer together. But in the next sentence, the audience find or finds their seats. Here we're going to treat them separately, and we're going to say that the audience find their seats because each person individually is going and finding their seats. Further special nouns. We got some words like mathematics, measles, diabetes. These all end in S, but we treat them singularly because they're one thing. So you're not going to say diabetes are a problem for some people. You're going to say diabetes is a problem for some people. Conversely, we've got some words like scissors, binoculars, pants, glasses. All of these end in S, but we're going to treat them like plural because, I suppose, because they have 2 parts. Nobody's going to say these pants is tight. You're going to say these pants are tight. So even though it's just one pair of pants, pants are. Words that end in ICS, these are strange because they could go either way. It just depends on how you're using them in a sentence. And I thought, given where we are right now, using politics as an example would be apropos. So politics is or are a touchy subject. Well, it is a subject, so it's one thing. In this case, we're going to refer to it as a singular thing. But here, when I say his politics is or are different from mine, we're talking about more than one thing, really. We're not just talking about the subject of politics. We're talking about everything that goes into it, and so it becomes politics are. Nouns of amount. Again, this is going to depend on what it is we're referring to. So in the sentence, $5 is or are too much to pay for dues, we're talking about one singular amount that you have to pay for dues. And so we're going to treat it singularly. We're going to say $5 is too much to pay for dues. However, in the next sentence, I say $5 is or are in my wallet. Well, in this case, we're talking about 5 individual dollars, and dollars are in my wallet. Below that, I've also used weeks. This is another noun of amount, right? So 3 weeks is or are an incubation period. We are talking about an incubation period. We're talking about a singular thing. And so we're going to say weeks is. Where in the next sentence, it says 3 weeks have passed. And I'm talking about 3 individual weeks. And so we're going to say the weeks have passed. Down here, I meant to show you that a title always is going to be considered singular, even if the title itself seems plural. And so the first one that sprung to mind for me was The Lady and the Tramp. The Lady and the Tramp is or are such a cute movie. Even though we've got a lady and a tramp in here, it's one movie, and so we're going to say is. So if Little Women is or are your favorite book, even though it's referring to a bunch of little women, it's Little Women is. Typically, when we're talking about compounds, we're talking about more than one, right? So if you've got a compound fracture, you've broken more than one bone. If you're in chemistry class and we're talking about compounds, multiple elements are being used. In grammar, it just means that we've got more than one subject or more than one predicate. It really depends on what we're talking about. For this, we're talking about more than one subject. So when you do this exercise, you're going to want to make sure you highlight more than one subject, as I've done here. So when they're just joined together by the word and, the shark and the porpoise, that's 2 things. So we're going to say they are diving. Let me do a little better job highlighting all the way there. Great. Sometimes, though, we have 2 things that go together, peas and carrots, Jenny and Forrest, or mashed potatoes and gravy. Nobody's just ordering one of those things. It's considered a singular unit. So mashed potatoes and gravy is delicious. And coming up here on Thanksgiving, I think we'd all agree. Now, compound subjects that are joined by or nor. This means they're going to have the word neither or either, right? Neither and nor, they go together. Either and or, they go together. And here's the rule. You got compound subjects. In both of these sentences, we're talking about porpoises and shark. You don't even need to read the sentence. I mean, you should. But if you've got neither or nor, you go with the subject closest to the verb. So neither the shark nor the porpoises, and porpoises are more than one, so we're going to say porpoises are diving. Even though the meaning of the sentence down here hasn't changed, either the porpoises or the shark, meaning hasn't changed, but the position of the subjects has, and one shark is diving. So that's a rule you don't want to forget. In either or neither nor sentences, you go with the verb closest to the subject. And then the last rule here, if you have a sentence that starts with many, a, every, and each, or each I should say, these will always be considered compound. All right, these will always be not considered compound. I take that back. They'll be considered singular. So even though you have multiple subjects, just pretend you have one. So you don't have to even worry about writer, painter, musician. It's just musician knows. Many just means one musician. Every newspaper and magazine prints. Each dolphin and his trainer is. So you're going to treat them singularly all of the time. All right, so let me just take you right here to your folder, and I'm not going to go through special subjects. You already know that, but I do want to just double down and point out to you that with the compound subjects, you're going to have to pick more than one subject as well as the correct verb to get this correct. So when we look at the first sentence here, it says both Mrs. Albert and Mr. Ling is giving or are giving exams on Friday, where we're going to need to get Mrs. Albert and Mr. Ling highlighted, and that's just a regular sentence joining them with and, so we're going to say are giving. All right, so again, the drill is if you get more than half right, I will change it to full credit, but if you don't, take it again. Remember, you have 20 attempts.